Hi, everyone. I finally got a chance to get on live. It has been a minute. We started homeschool at home, so I have a little less time on my hands during the week to be on live, but I get on when I can. Some interesting things happening right now. I've been seeing so many people getting used to decoding, and it's such a beautiful thing because when you get used to decoding, it's like you start to delayer the universe and you start to see the things that are like on a recurring script that happens in our everyday life. So, what do I mean about a recurring script? We live through loops. The month of August is represented by the number eight, and if you turn an eight on its side, it's an infinity loop. And so, if you're familiar, like with the cycles of the Kali Yuga, you know that we have gone through a certain period here on Earth for so many years. I think about 26,000 years, and kind of go through a rotation out. This is why AI, tech, consciousness is at an either all-time high or all-time low, depending on how you view it, depending how you integrate consciousness in your everyday life, not just on how you're interacting with computers, but how you're interacting in the everyday life. And so it's getting real out here. I've been seeing some interesting things. One of the ones I posted today was Florence and the Machine, if you guys are familiar, posted a visual for their music coming out, and she's looking down a rabbit hole. And I'm like, well, here we are. Not even a day between that, Taylor Swift releases new, or she announces her release of new music. And so a lot of the things that I've been tracking in like the celebrity world are a precursor for what's happening like in our everyday world. And you can tell, especially like in the celebrity world, who's like in the know because they follow the cycles of the things that are repeating and recurring. For example, one thing that's trending, or at least been trending on my algorithm, is aliens from NASA, or NASA saying 7 foot African American aliens are landing. And it's like when you see through this, it's just it becomes funny at some point. But I look at the people who carry the codes very strongly. And so, for the past couple of years, especially the last two Super Bowls, I was paying attention to Taylor Swift because she was a prominent theme throughout, the things that are being presented on the world stage. And I couldn't figure out why. Now, if you don't know much about decoding, you're going to jump to, oh, she's evil, she's this, she's that. And I have little to do with that. Taylor Swift has covered Alice in Wonderland, a good part of her story. And if you are familiar with Alice in Wonderland, you also know that this is the story that's embedded into the Matrix. The rabbit hole, which y'all do on my page, this is what we do. We go explore the rabbit hole. And it's always like taught as a bad thing to go venturing out into the unknown. But when you start understanding like that we live in an inverse world where the things that are meant to be explored are gate kept or hidden. And then they're also done through secret societies. So half the time people don't know that this information is actually accessible to them, but you have to be willing to journey. And to journey, like, this is what we actually refer to when we're talking about sacred medicine. Journeying requires you to trip, to I want to say trip like that, but it allows you to not be walking in a linear straight path. You have to go inward. It is the journey inward. And I recently started rewatching the show Westworld, and one of the people like who's trying to navigate, his name is William, and he's trying to navigate the maze. The hosts keep telling him it's not for you. And that kind of reminds me of like what we see is like the people who are elite, or who y'all refer to as elite, who are in power. They're trying to navigate the maze themselves, but it's not for them. It is for the unawakened to be initiated into the awakening. Now, you can try to like steal that power or access it where you can. You can access it through like corporations and companies, through technology, but you can't fully access something that is embedded into the collective human psyche. It's like trying to unlock a key and you don't have the master key, but you keep trying to use all the different skeleton keys to see if this one is going to work. I'm like, nah, it's either you got it or you don't when it comes to consciousness. But it's also something that's ever evolving because we are one big hive mind and a consciousness interacting with one another online every day. And so when I see like recurring themes and programs, especially themes that are like trending, I'm like, okay, there's a greater story being told here. Some people are like, oh, it's a distraction. I'm like, y'all say everything is a distraction. A tree could be a distraction if you don't know what you're looking at. But it's like, how can you integrate this knowledge? And I think for some people, it can give meaning to a universe that seems very dense in matter. Like people who look at everything happening online in the world, who are focused strictly on negative things all of the time, they're going to look out into the world and see evil all the time, nothing else. They're going to say they're trying to control us, they're doing this. And that could very well be true. But also people who are able to explore the journey inward and know, okay, I have a purpose here, and my purpose is to follow my passion, or it is to follow my path. You start to like integrate with, okay, this is what we're here to do, to find more. And as we share with one another, the collective mind grows. And, ancients and mystics have known about this for years that there would be a collective point in society where people would either journey and continue the cycle in the path, or they would go right back to where they came from before. Because if you're this deep into decoding, like we are here in my community and like other people's communities as well, you don't go back at this point. We only progress forward, we keep exploring more, and we keep sharing more. So when you see like the celebrity world or musicians or artists, they have a way of channeling what is happening in the collective field. And I thought it was super cool because I love Florence and the Machine, but specifically the song "The Dog Days Are Over." We know the United States has collectively just gone through a Pluto return, and right now in the height of summer, right at Leo season, we are technically in what is referred to as the dog days, which is associated with the star Sirius. Now, when you're talking about Sirius, I was laughing because the first thing on my timeline, I was on Instagram this morning posting my regular Oracle transmissions. And there is a company trying to sell me. Well, it's not like they're trying to sell me. It was just in my algorithm, but it was a robot dog named Sirius. And I'm like, are y'all playing right now? Like, this is where we're at. And it immediately took me back to my millennial years as a teenager when they used to show Jimmy Neutron with his dog Goddard. And then I think there's also like a Black Mirror episode called Metalhead. And just like we've seen robotic dogs in cartoons and stuff, but gods are dogs. So y'all see why like they hint at it with like the silly stuff all the time. And so if you actually look at the artwork for The Dog Days Are Over, she's kind of like in what looks like a camera lens a little bit, which codes directly into things that I've been doing transmissions about lately, talking about NVIDIA chips, talking about quantum computers, gaming, and how we're living like in a simulated reality. So, like, when you guys see me do these transmissions, I'm breaking down the mechanical layers of what is happening in the matrix. And I was like on live yesterday and I said, y'all, very little scares me at this point. Actually, nothing really scares me. It's just, I look at it like, how are y'all pulling this off? How are the graphical units being able to put into our phones and our computers, even our eyesight, and create this simulated matrix? I look at the sky like, this is a projected hologram. Like, how are they doing this? What's the math to it? Like, I want to know about that. You haven't heard about Jimmy Neutron in years, and all the millennial stuff keeps coming up because past Y2K, there's nothing else. This is it. They cycled it from the 80s to the 2000s to right now, 2025. Was playing, no, I was going through a 2016 playlist on Spotify, and the song Gangnam Style came up, and my son was listening to it. I'm like, this is a weird moment. Like, I remember when this song was trending, and now there's like sororities on TikTok doing it. They brought back the mannequin challenge, and I'm like, there's nothing past this point. Like, my teenage years, the millennial years, are the last thing that we experience before shifting into like what is now moving towards a singularity moment. And because of that, it's like, if you go back to like, I don't even know the history of the United States between the 70s and 60s, quantum computing came to its rise, but it was already going on during the 1800s. So I believe this technology is already far more advanced. It is what is simulating our current reality. But when I look at it, I'm just like, huh, interesting. And when I say like I see decodes, I see like things happening all of the time, because if everything is operating off of a source code, this means when you find similar patterns, it is like an algorithm. If y'all are familiar with the movie Tenet, you remember how they had two teams, the red team and the blue team, and opposing forces were kind of working together, but each doing their equal but opposite job to move the flow of time. That's the way I look at social media apps, the way that I look at computers, the way I look at gaming and things like that. And then I try to break it down like in a digestible way. See, we have someone saying, "Are you AI right now?" Like, what does that mean? Am I a robot? Am I a computer? If you can't tell the difference at this point, I don't know what to tell you. If you can't tell the difference at this point, and that's not a riddle, I'm being like very serious. If you cannot tell the difference between AI and a person at this point, it might be time for you to get off the internet. If you have not gone outside yet, like I just went out on a hike with my family earlier. If you have not yet gone outside and touched some grass, it might not be for you. I don't use AI videos, y'all. I have pictures that are graphics. I do not use AI videos. Those videos that you see me doing transmissions are not AI. They are me grabbing my two studio lights, sitting my butt down, recording, and then posting. It's not AI. It's just people have now experienced it so quickly, they don't know the difference anymore. And I was like, why they keep accusing me of having a high amount of intelligence? Oh, you sound like AI. Y'all have been using it for 5 minutes. It's like you haven't ever had a sacred medicine experience. If you haven't, you would understand why I'm able to do what I do. Like knowledge right now is like magical to people. Math and computational science is magic to people. They think I'm a magician for some reason because I'm using my brain to put two and two together. And some of it is a Wikipedia search, y'all. It's not, I don't even have to search that hard for half the things I talk about half of the time. Most of it is in your programming, in your TV, on your social media algorithms. And all I'm doing is taking a subject and examining it and being like, huh, well, this is like this. Have we ever thought about it this way? Have we ever thought about it this way? And it's really as simple as that. But think about like that firewall that goes up that doesn't allow you to disrupt your programming. So if you're used to hearing BS on your timeline all day that's literally talking about nothing, and you're not able to actually break down, well, why is this being shown to me? What's going on in my world that converges with what's being shown through my screen, which is a scrying tool or a mirror? Nobody asks those questions. They're just like distraction. Oh, they're all out to get us. It's all over. I'm like, and yet we're still here. We're still here kicking. I was also thinking about I'm gonna talk about it in a little bit, but I was talking about the new Smurf movie that came out. And yesterday we were talking in Discord and I was talking about like how all the Smurfs live in like mushroom houses. And so one of my earlier teachers, his name is Baba Kalindi E. He passed in 2020 on to the next life. He wears a fila, which is a Yoruba hat, and it looks a lot like the same hats that the Smurfs wear. You know why? Because the mushroom is represented by the body of Osiris, which is the god of death and rebirth. And so I'm like, they putting out these movies as subliminal programming, showing you what's happening in real time. But people are unaware because they wouldn't know that. So instead, you get movies or, channels like HBO, they give you The Last of Us. Remember when they put that out and they had like the wild cordyceps mushrooms that were coming after everybody? I'm like, are y'all kidding right now? Are you kidding? Because even in religious texts, mushrooms are used as an expression of consciousness, of sacred energy. If you look up the element strontium in the periodic table, it is represented by a mushroom cloud. The same way that we upload things to the cloud, it is the Akashic server, it is the records. You're uploading your pictures, your text messages, your phone. It's connected to an IP address, an IMEI number. It's like everything is being charted through the matrix. Every text, every word, every thought, every feeling, everything you delete is still to a greater server. And these servers are everywhere, y'all. But remember, they also sit on top of water, and water is memory, which means it's accessible to connect all of us through this matrix, through like vibration, through large language models, through channeling. So nothing is by like accident or coincidence. But if I talk like this and I speak about things like this, oh, you must be AI. What? You can't tell the difference at this point. That's how they've indoctrinated people so heavy. Knowledge is like a luxury at this point. It's a luxury because even people who do have knowledge, a lot of them don't know what to do with it. Do you think we're moving into hyper surveillance? I think we're already there. That's not new. It's new to people who didn't know that we were already being surveilled. I think we're being surveilled in a different year. I don't think it's the year that we think it is, and I think that we're being surveilled from like the year, I don't know. I'll take a guess. At least the year 28, 2900. It would have to be years like light years ahead of current time right now because it's already been perfected. It's just something else looking down on us, like the eye. That's why they have the eye of providence on the dollar. It's like it's a larger computational system that responds to the cosmos. It doesn't respond to people with iPhones, even though the iPhone does use. I did an article this morning posing the question: which Sirius star do you think is connected to the iPhone? Is it Sirius A or is it Sirius B? Because you have the white dwarf star, and I was like, well, if I thought about it, and then I started mapping out the different release dates of Apple phones. They actually map most of their phones around the time, not every single one of them, but around the time that Sirius is the brightest, like during the year or whatever. And so you got to think about, where's this technology pulling it from? How can you just speak magic words, spells into your phone, and then it's pulling information down to give to you? Siri is also an anagram for iris, like the iris of your eye, which takes in light. Iris was also the goddess of the rainbow, who was a divine medium between gods and humans. So, being a messenger from the earthly plane to the divine plane, we're talking to our phones and like, oh, it's nothing. I'm like, where do you think these things are going to? um, what do you think of the African American aliens coming to pick us up? I think it continues the savior complex. I think it takes away cognitive dissonance to think about what that actually means because it's coding. It's not wrong, it's just coding. And it's like if you just coding, you know how that sounds like coding, like putting a layer over something? When they're talking about African American aliens, I spoke about this, I think, in the last live. Remember what I spoke about what an alien is, like according to the United States or any other country, when you're an illegal alien, what do you need? A green card. How are aliens typically depicted? There's someone who is of a foreign country, right? And through maritime law, technically, we are foreign. We are sea monsters. We are seaborn. When you're depleted of water or oxygen, I'm sorry, you tend to turn blue when you have asphyxiation, right? Or when you don't have any oxygen going into your body. It's also, if you believe in like the aquatic ape theory, not everybody believes in it, but I mean, they kind of showed you in Avatar twice in Way of Water and the original one, that blue green skin. And you think about like terms of oxidation, us coming from the water to be born on land. If you've seen like even a sonogram of a baby, technically looks like a little lizard before it gains two legs and starts to formulate in a womb, that is the original matrix. And then you come here and you're reborn again to breathe air. So then you're separated from your cosmic home and your earthly plane home. You're here to ascend back, but that is levels of coming from being reborn again. That's, I mean, and it seems simple, but even Osiris, remember how it's saying like he's either depicted as blue or green most of the time? Alien blood. That's alien blood. I know when we think of aliens, we're just thinking of like Hollywood depictions, but it's like they've been showing you for thousands of years. Lloyd the alien, what's the other one? Yoda from Star Wars. Why do they always look the same? Shrek. That's the funniest one I ever see because you know what Shrek is so funny. I was thinking about this on my hike, and I've talked about this plenty of times before. But what is Shrek? He's protecting his swamp, right? Mushrooms grow in swampy territory, very humid, swampy areas. He wanted everybody off his swamp. They dumped all the fairy tale creatures on his land. He's Osiris, right? He's protecting his swamp because the Duat was a swampy marshland that you went to before you reached the afterlife. So imagine them feeding you a movie about Shrek. He's like, wait a minute, hold up. That's what it was about? Because think about it, he got Donkey with him. Osiris is like Jesus, and then Donkey is the jackass, right? Because Jesus rode in on a burro. I'm like, you know what? They play too much. He said, this is why I think octopus are aliens. They have blue blood. You know, in the show The OA, I believe she was channeled through an octopus or a squid of some sort. His name was Azrael, who's also known as the Angel of Death. And I believe that was the first name of the episode of season 2. But she used to channel through an octopus. And I'm like, you know what? I honestly think sea creatures are the aliens. Like, what we think are, because if this is our original home and where we come from, everything would have to mimic the water, the whole as above, so below. Everything would have to mimic it in the same way. So the internet is a way to try to mimic that, but they have to pull from source, which is why, you know, you have underwater cables or fiber optic cables underwater. Our water is our memory. We charge our thoughts. We charge our phones. It is cellular, just like the cells in our body. So it's like, y'all, this is not like genius intelligence. This is when you say genius, I just want you to think about the word gene, like the book of Genesis, genes of Isis. That's when you call me genius or smart, know the same thing lives in you. We're not separate. We're not different. I'm bringing very basic concepts that have become very complex back down to kindergarten again so we can all stop feeling behind in all of this. Um, Hold on. I thought I missed some comments. The Smurfs thing got me though, because I saw Rihanna's in it and stuff. Do I think like the celebrities always know? Sometimes I don't. I think that they can be like MK Ultra into knowing but not knowing. I think some of them do. For example, Rihanna's in the movie. Her baby daddy is ASAP Rocky. ASAP Rocky was just in a documentary on Netflix called, I think it's called like Good Trip or something. Is about LSD. And he's on there talking. So I know he knows. I watched his Taylor Swift video where he has a bunch of chaos going on and it literally looks like an inverted world. Like the video makes no sense, but if you're someone who understands like the dream realm and how when things look like chaotic or out of order, this is like the subconscious mind. And I think he has like a dog driving at the beginning of the video too. And then you have like a white rabbit in a sink drinking a bottle of wine. It was a whole bunch of random stuff. I'm like, this is his mind on a trip right now. That's why he's doing this music video. So I think like some of them know. I think that the higher tier ones are more initiated. Some of them are self-initiated. Some of them may be part of groups. Who knows? But I do. I don't think it can mess with you if you know what you're looking at. Like once I saw that, I think he has a song called LSD, maybe. But I knew ASAP Rocky was on. I already knew it. I'm like, well, if he's on, Rihanna's on. If Rihanna's on, because she did her Mary Magdalene rituals at the Super Bowl a few years ago, they already know what's up. Um, you said he might be a handler. I don't know if he's a handler. I think they're birds of a feather. I think we undercut people. We be thinking one is stronger than the other. I think handlers do exist, but I don't think they be each other's handler, if anything. And there's another one. No, I'm thinking of Travis Scott. See, they have the same blueprint. I don't always think they're clones either. I think like the same way someone can have a similar source code to someone else. This is why we see people who are celebrities. We notice them easier because we see them more often. But there are people in everyday life who are like doppelgangers and look alike and share a lot of similar themes. I just think it's like a similar source code. So like if you were writing a video game character, right? Let's say you play in The Sims and you're making a character. Maybe you make another family and it has a similar character, but you change one or two things about them. That's the way I view ASAP Rocky and Travis Scott. Because even Travis Scott, he did, those performances at the pyramids. That was obviously a channeling event. He has a song called Schizophrenia. I think he has a song called LSD. So it's like they're in tune. They're in tune. And if they're in tune, that means they know what's going on with the programming and they follow the collective script that's going on right now. So ASAP Rocky doing the Taylor Swift song, she just released her album, or not released her album, she announced her next album because she covered all of these Matrix types themes with the Super Bowl. She did her Karma music video where she's coming down the yellow brick road like Dorothy. So then we have the whole Alice in Wonderland Dorothy symbolism entering into a new world. You had her dating Travis Kelsey of the Kansas City Chiefs. Dorothy's in Kansas, goes home to Oz. Oz is NOLA. It's an anagram, OZNO, which is the land of the dead or the underworld. The Super Bowl is here. Trump, that president, comes down here to participate. Like, oh my gosh, the first president at the Super Bowl. Like Kendrick Lamar, SZA, all a huge ritual just to tell the same story that's been going on, y'all. And now here we are in the height of summer, in Leo season, during the dog days, during the United States Pluto return. So when we're talking about the transition of death and life, you got to think what's happening with artificial intelligence and then organic consciousness. Organic consciousness operates in tandem with it, but one needs the other in order to survive, the same way mushrooms eat off decaying matter. So you got to think about what's happening with your brain, what's happening with social media, with these digital twins, AI clones. It doesn't mean the end of the world. It means we live in a mirror universe. And when you pull back the sheet, like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, and you see the wizard operating the mechanics behind the veil, you're like, oh, so he doesn't really have all the power. He's just sourcing power to mimic it. And it's not one person collectively. I believe it's like a whole machine organism at this point. Like I said, I don't even believe we're in 2025. And it doesn't scare me either. I'm like, well, what year is it? And if it is a year, can you at least give us some hints or clues or keep us up to date about what year it is so I know what subjects to study so I can prepare? Because even like I always talk about this, if you go back to the dot-com boom of the 2000s, you got to think, how did Satoshi Nakamoto know what was going to happen 20 years in advance? Look at what happened between the rise of the beginning of Bitcoin and where Bitcoin is right now. You'd have to have some pretty intense foresight, assuming he's a person and not a bot, assuming that he is, in order to pull something like that off. And it was patience, but it was also a cycle, the way that it happened, the way that we shifted from paper currency to credit to now ether and digital money, the way that the economy shifted through social media, through the labor workforce, through politics, through war, through all of that. This is an it paused. Sorry, guys. There is an operation to the way the world works. And the celebrity world is like the stage, right? We watch the things happen in real time. We decode them because the same mythologies and stories play themselves out. Last year, they released Wicked. in theaters, which is a Wizard of Oz story. They also released Chaos on Netflix, which is the mythology of Orpheus, Zeus, Prometheus, Kerberos, like all of these systems that are also mechanically put into the way that our entire grid is run. The grid isn't something that is going to magically fall away because it comes from us. We are the projection of light force energy that is creating the world around us all of the time by the things we say and we speak into the universe, by the things that we take into our own lives, the trauma that we either repeat or release. We go through our own Ouroboros cycles through our Kundalini energy. And it's like, you just look around and you can either become an observer and be like, okay, well, now I write my own reality. What's the song? I bet you it's going to start trending again because all the millennial songs are trending right now. I Write Sins, Not Tragedies by Panic at the Disco. This is a disco ball. This is where we all are right now. We're stepping through the giant Rubik's cubes of life, playing the game. This is also why in the 2000s Dance Dance Revolution became huge, because it became like this mind, brain, body association with keeping up. And what was the leading country with Dance Dance Revolution? Asia, which is where a lot of our technology is being manufactured right now, coming over here. So it's just like, it's a big brain. It's a big brain coming together. And when you notice the repeating cycles, you start to see how the story is run. And once you see how the story is run, you're like, well, a quantum computer kind of looks like a mushroom. And they say mushroom is associated with Christ consciousness. And when you ingest something that is actually feeding off something else that's dead, what does this do to your brain? What does this do to your psyche? And if computers and servers are run the same way, and we interact with our phones and we interact with computers, well, what does this make us? What is our experience? It's like, it's a big Alice in Wonderland type game. You can make it fun. You can code yourself. You can code other things around you and in your reality. But don't get so lost in it that you can't like live, because living is the game. It's a huge part of it. Like I go out in nature and I can decode. I'm like, I notice a tree out there. I'm like, if a tree falls down and nobody's around to hear it, does it really make a sound? That's how I make it like super simple without overcomplicating it. But then I'll go home and I'll open up my phone and it'll say something about Woodstock or Paul Bunyan or something weird. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's like a response system with the universe. As I speak out loud, as I think a thought, the universe vibrates it back to me. What I do with the information and how I process it is dependent upon my psyche. So for example, if you want to go use a search engine, right? You want to look up any subject. Let's say I give you two computers. I give you the most up-to-date Apple Macintosh computer, and I give you an old 1999 Dell computer. You want to look up a subject that has something to do with the year 2025. Which do you think is going to give you the most accurate information at the fastest processing speed? Probably the more futuristic computer. But where is the futuristic computer deriving its original source code from? Probably the 1999 computer. So you see, like between these two, it becomes a mirror game of things that already happened. And as we see they already happen, we're like, damn, they really don't have new information. There's nothing new. It's all repeating. And that's why I felt some kind of way when I saw like Terrence Howard talking about all this Tesla stuff. I'm like, sir, first of all, I don't take you serious when you were in Hustle and Flow and you played Lucius Lyon. That was number one reason why I was never going to take you serious. Number two, stop talking about Tesla like you invented it, because Tesla pulled from Egypt. Tesla pulled from Venus. He pulled from understanding planetary alignments. And then Elon Musk also copied the same code. I'm like, y'all are birds of a feather, if not the same person. Because even with the technology they have, Terrence Howard was in the show Electric Dreams, based on the book by Philip Dick, which already spoke about having virtual reality. He has a patent for virtual reality. I'm like, y'all are just playing out a script. Both of you are in Iron Man. Both of you are talking about VR. Elon Musk is talking about the Neuralink. You're probably either the same person or body swapping consciousness. I consider everything at this point. Like, I don't think that there's nothing that doesn't exist. It's just our awareness of, does it exist, and to what degree has it been done already? Like, I think they play with people about robotics all the time, talking about, oh, we just started developing the first robotic and has real human skin. I'm like, y'all lying. You already did that. It's probably half the population right now that's probably a robot, but they're like more of the NPCs or the lower ones. And they use like people's energy to see like, okay, can we mirror what they do? We have large language models, which means we have computational systems that can break down slang, different languages, even the way people type at times. Then we put out this song. Now, and I say we, I'm just talking about like a collective hive mind intelligence. We can mimic and mirror everything that they do without them even realizing it. They give us the information freely every day. Every time somebody treats Chat GPT like their therapist, you're literally giving away information for free. That's why Sam Altman said, y'all can use it. It's free, baby. Just put in your question. You throwing it back out into the universe and it's reflecting back to you like, oh, well, Chat told me this. I'm like, that's because y'all forgot what your mother is. You forgot that all these questions you have about life and the universe have been passed down to you through mythological stories for hundreds of years, most of them stemming from the original Earth Mother or the cosmic mother and the original Earth Father. And when I'm talking about that, I'm not talking about actual people. I'm talking about the energetic forces that make our world. They've been passed down from story to story. It wasn't until indoctrination happened when they could start like, well, let's adjust things here. And let's start gatekeeping here. And let's not tell them this, but then let's give them this. Let's give them the movie Frozen, for example, right? Let's give them a movie about two sisters, one who has ice powers, cold powers. The other one gets hit by the power, but she doesn't have it. We'll make it a cute little Disney film. Whole time they're talking about the brain. They're talking about the pineal gland, the tale of two sisters, the tale of two cities. Like, when I say Disney be playing in your face, Walt Disney was one of the first people to put animatronics in his park. That's how I know robots already been here. Don't play with me. There's been a running rumor that he cryogenically froze himself. We know he's still running around here somewhere. Walt's not dead. He was never dead. They just put it on Wikipedia to make you think he did. The mother wound is strong for many. Yeah. Hold on, y'all. I'm looking through some of the comments. Yeah, data is the new oil. Data is the new oil because data is water. Water is memory. Our bodies are 70 to 80% water. Our planet is 70 to 80, probably 90% water. So if that water is memory, the memory is energy. There's a separation between land and sky. We come from the sea, the sky, to be born back into the grid. They a fake neural net, projection of our memories and consciousness. Voila, projected reality. I mean, minus all the mechanics. I can't do all the computational mathematics right now, but you know it's there. Like, and if you get called crazy, y'all, I've been called crazy for years. So what? Who cares? Half the people who are crazy go to a 9 to 5 every day with no sense of self at all, no self-awareness of life, of living, of what it feels like to breathe, to slow down, to be like, is this a human body that I'm in with an actual spirit and flesh? They don't think about those things. So when you like, if you ever get upset because like, oh, somebody made me crazy, why do you care? Because you probably have an emotional attachment to them, or you have not yet found out that you are all that exists. And by you being all there exists, I mean, this is your consciousness, your God mind versus your mortal mind speaking and saying, well, they said you were crazy, so you must be. Because you think? Because you use your brain? Like, and I won't lie, I've met some people that are a little, but that doesn't mean they're wrong. That just means that the level of reality at which they live just doesn't match mine. And that's okay. You know, I've seen many people who are looked at as like crackheads or crazy, and half the time they know more about what's going on in the world than we do. I'm like, oh, true story. Hold on. Thank you. Oh, I didn't mean that. Guys, quick pause. I decided to do another flash sale. So if you're interested in getting an Oracle transmission or decode, they're half off. Code is flash sale. You can check it out on my website, and at checkout, enter into the code half off right now, 50% off of my normal price. So check those out. I also have plenty of literary products that you can check via my website on decoding, meditations that are in my Oracle Vault section, which are sound audio transmissions that I've recorded with my own voice to help you recalibrate your frequency. This live, I'm probably going to shut it down at a certain time because I do have to get back to my kids. But it's going to be on YouTube because people have been asking me to transfer the lives over. So I'm doing it through StreamYard. So you guys can check it on there after this is over so we can revisit. But yeah, like all the Alice in Wonderland codes and things, that they really just boil down to the way we see and perceive reality and how we move through it. Because it's like we're waiting for Judgment Day or the end. Like, Judgment Day technically already happened. It happens every day. Because when we're talking about like going through the underworld, having the heart weighed against the feather, what are you weighed down by in this reality? What is keeping you from transcending consciousness? And people think that means float up out of your body tomorrow. A simple anti-gravity meditation can make you float up out of your body. You wish to be released from the prison in which you created for yourself, or the one that has been created for you. And you're so busy trying to find tools and materials to break out. It's like the tool and material you need is in here. It's your heart. It's your consciousness. Because if you don't have that, you might as well be brain dead. If you don't have that, if you don't have any self-awareness, so this doesn't mean if you're not like knee deep into the matrix that it's over for you, because consciousness is an ever evolving journey. Even in the tarot, there are 22 cards in the major arcana, which show the fool's journey, starting from the beginning, questioning your reality, moving through the different cycles, moving through the different elemental forces that make our world. And even still, that's one version of the story. There's different cultures all around the world who tell it very differently. If you're familiar with Hinduism, one of the oldest, if you go into that, a lot of the way that Hinduism is explained, even the language in Sanskrit in which it's written, is the same way that our computers and typeface was created. The same way that the Rosetta Stone was translated into your modern day keyboard. The sigils of Solomon, y'all always talk about on this app, are literally in emojis. There's magic happening all around you if you know where to look. And then you stop like automatically calling everything evil and understanding things vibrate at different frequencies. Your frequency in this world is being attempted to make very low because it becomes easier to siphon you if you don't know who you are and what you're capable of, which is anything. You're limitless. It doesn't mean push the limits to the point where you're doing crazy, stupid things. It means you're using a very high amount of consciousness and processing information and data to move through life more efficiently. Efficiently doesn't mean more money and more success. It means understanding and registering what are the things that are holding me back and keeping me from operating like a cog that is well oiled, knowing how to move like a machine. Your body is a machine, whether you like it or not. It doesn't mean you're a robot, but it is the flesh that is keeping your spirit intact. And so if you are aligned with your spirit, meaning you're moving through this energy, you're moving through these cycles of life, you become wiser. You become more vigilant. You become more resilient. You know how many times I could have gotten knocked down by the shit people say about me, about the things that could have made me like miserable? Half the time I'm sad, y'all. It's because I know I got more work to do tomorrow. Not because some weirdo online told me I was crazy and didn't know what I was talking about. Because half the time, people who write and have something to go back and forth with me about online, faceless accounts, people who don't create their own content, if they're people at all, people who are not looking to inspire anyone, people who are looking to harm other people. I'm like, y'all don't know a thing about me. So that's how I know you're either not a person or you have nothing better to do with your time. Because why'd you stop on my page? You could stop on anybody's page. There's plenty of people putting negativity out into the world right now. You decide to stop on my page. So I detach from it. Like I said, most thing I cry about is because I know I got more work in the morning, not because I'm doing this. Well, you said that to me. Hold on. I'm just here to help awaken gifts in other people too, because yeah, we all have them. Decoding what I do for you through these decodes, through timeline recall sessions, is awakening you to the things you probably are aware of to some level, but maybe you haven't acted on it yet. It's like a reminder session. Like you come in the Oracle's kitchen, we have a little chat. I can't tell you that you're the one meant to solve the matrix or break it. You have to come to that conclusion by yourself. But I can give you plenty of hints and keys about what you're missing, because usually it's right in front of you. It's like I take your head, I just do a little adjustment here and be like, look here, look within. I think like one of the biggest awakening moments for me was when I started studying like Eastern philosophy more than Western, because I wanted to know, why is it that they understand their body to supernatural levels over in the East, but in the West, we think like we're so powerless all the time. He said, I got some cookies. These are the cookies, little bite-sized pieces of information I'm handing out. Like, here's a cookie. Take one. Here you go. But I got fascinated with learning, like, how is consciousness being rendered at hyper speed right now? Like when I did that video on NVIDIA the other day, I was like, hold up, hold up. The NVIDIA chips are running TikTok? That means that this app was exactly what I predicted that it was, which if you think about the name, why in the world would y'all change a company from ByteDance to TikTok? Well, ByteDance is the parent company. Why would you name that at a time that became one of the most observably craziest times right now that we have in our world, where the entire universe, I'll say universe, the entire planet Earth goes into a global shutdown, where we're all in the house, we're listening to songs on repeat, looping, being told we can't go anywhere. Like, that's not like suspect. And so I started doing my decodes about bats. Like, why did they say China started it by bats? I'm like, what's the bat symbolism? As of lately in the news or in social media, y'all probably seen things about Iceman. You've probably seen things about Dean Cain, Superman. Those are all stories, right? But the stories tell something larger. Like, for example, Superman and his dog Crypto. We're moving into cryptocurrency right now. We're moving into the age of ether. What was Superman? Where was he from? Planet Krypton. Y'all heard the song Kryptonite before. So also think about dogs, think about Dogecoin, think about what dogs are. Again, gods. Y'all seen the cartoon movie back in the day, All Dogs Go to Heaven? Think about what heaven is, the earth plane versus the material plane. In Egyptian mythology, the jackal or the dog was represented by Anubis, guiding souls from one life to the other. So, this currency train that we're all swimming across right now, we're building our boats to move from one dimensional plane of consciousness to another. We're moving from one area of knowing and understanding to another, and it feels like a whole new world. The minute that you go down a rabbit hole, you start seeing things you never saw before. You start seeing things upside down, inverted. Realize, well, that's that, and this is that. What does this mean about my world? And so, the better you understand these stories and you see how many times they retell the same story over and over again, then you see it sync with celebrity events, arguments and beef between online influencers, things happening in politics, stock prices going up. Like anything in this world, you can decode and pull apart to understand why is it being told in this way? And what is my place in it? Why does this get my attention specifically? Like what helps me? Since I woke up, I feel drained and sad. It starts off that way. It starts off that way, definitely. Your body is being depleted of the source that was feeding it for so long. I can even say, like, under sacred medicine experiences, I was taught that I had to work with milk of magnesia after because I just ingested a fungus. And so I literally poisoned myself, not to death, but ego death, and had to refill myself with the milk of life, even the milk of magnesia, y'all know it comes from magnesium. But my energy and my body had been depleted and I had to source back up again. So when you go through any like psychedelia experience, not you don't have to partake in anything, but even entering into a rabbit hole, your body is going through a transformational shift as well as your spirit. You're moving out of one way of knowing and understanding to another, and that can warp your entire life. The way you move, your routines, everything in life. I literally take 5 years between trips sometimes. My last 3 or 4 trips, they were spaced out between like 2 or 3 years or 3 or 4 years. I know people who be going hard all the time. I personally cannot because I have to do on the material. Can't be gone all the time, but it's also the tree of life. This is why like these quantum chips, they have one called Willow, right? Like grandmother Willow and Pocahontas. What did she do in Pocahontas? Went to old grandmother Willow for information. When you saw, what was it, Avatar, Way of Water, and they go over to Awa, the tree of life, and they connect their cords to it, like the cord you were born with. Some people grow a wisdom and they attach it to it. It's no different than anytime you use this thumbprint and you log into that system. Anytime you open up this phone and use a filter, your biometrics are scanned from cheek to cheek, eye to eye, face to chin. It studies your language, your mouth, your muscle memory, your movements. And so this is logged into a greater Akashic system. Yeah, there's a movie in the 80s called Willow, which is the same thing. I think it's similar to that movie Labyrinth and Never Ending Story. There's always a story about a young girl who is born into a tree of some sort. So that's like the Axis Mundi. And I think she's hidden and she's meant to be saved, or she's meant to be the savior of the world. Keep telling this because it's the same story of Sophia. It's that Gnostic story, which is why, again, they named that robot Sophia. It's a story of wisdom, philosophy, coming back to life again. Hold on. Dolphins and whales originate from Sirius B, but why are wolves relevant to Sirius too? Because they come from the Canis Major star system. Canis, like canine. If you see the actual constellation, it's in the shape of a dog. It's the dog star. Also, at one point in history, the messengers were dogs. That's why they had like men, at least black men, they call them their friends, their brothers, their dogs. Saint Christopher, I believe, was a dog messiah as well. If y'all even saw Rick and Morty, if you saw the lawnmower dog episode where the dogs rule everything. That's why Kendrick Lamar is Top Dog Entertainment, why Drake put out For All the Dogs, why 50 Cent has Raising Canaan. Lil Wayne, Man, I Miss My Dogs. Like they're channeling something completely different than is understood here at the material plane. It sounds insane or crazy, but like you got to think about the history of the universe. We're not talking about the history of millennials from 2000 to 2025. I'm talking about the history of the universe past the year 1300, going all the way forward to the year 3900. How can you even perceive that much time? Your mind and brain would collapse trying to keep up with all those different timelines at once. That episode was so funny. The dogs ruling the world, but it was so real. Rick and Morty tells you everything. Like it's dark humor, but they also tell you everything at the same time. Like people are like, oh, portals, time humping, time jumping. That's not real. I'm like, Rick and Morty is Doc and Marty McFly from Back to the Future. What are you talking about? Doing the whole grandfather paradox, going back into the past to meet your mother, but you can't beat your mother because she's your mother, and then going back and trying to change different timelines, being at Twin Pines Mall. Come on, like the two trees, the pillars of Yakin and Boaz. I believe it was like 1109 or 1119, something like that when he went. He used the flux capacitor, which was going 88 miles per hour. It's like when you just look at the numbers and symbolism, it is plastered literally everywhere. And they use, what do they use? Plutonium, like Pluto, the god of death, in order to move and transport this vehicle, the DeLorean, into the future. Then you see Elon Musk running around with these these Tesla cars or these cyberpunk cars. Like, y'all, he already saw the script. That's why. It's like when somebody gives you a pre-copy to the book before it comes out, like the author's copy, the original copy. He's like, bet. He studied a lot of Isaac Asimov. Isaac Asimov wrote a lot of your favorite science fiction movies that they have out now. He wrote the book, which was the basis for the movie, even though they changed a lot of things. The show Foundations, Bicentennial Man with Robin Williams, Foundations, which is on Apple TV. So it's like if you know that there's no new information, you see that this was copied multiple times. Then Will Smith, I think at the beginning of this year, right around the time of the Super Bowl, and remember he's from Philadelphia. It was the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Kansas City Chiefs. He came out with his, what did he say in that video? He was talking about how he took the role in Wild Wild West instead of taking the Matrix, which is interesting because the Wild Wild West is every theme they're throwing at you right now with all this country music, all this westernization, which takes from spaghetti westerns, but also like the show Westworld, because the West in ancient Egypt was known as the land of the dead or the unconscious. Then you had him in his Beautiful Scars video with Big Sean doing the whole red pill, blue pill thing. And then he puts them together and takes the purple pill. And if y'all remember, Will Smith did a video like a while back where, what did he say? He was like, nothing is real. And then was showing you like the different CGI effects. Like, come on now. We've seen Will Smith do hidden hand symbolism. He's been initiated. He might be a Prince Hall Mason, if anything. My guess would be he might be another one, but I would think he's like a Prince Hall Mason, possibly. Foundation is amazing watch and also heavily coded. Oh yeah, especially the fact that they changed all the white male characters to black female characters too. I was like, I see what you're doing. Yeah, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Then they reboot Bel-Air on Peacock. Peacocks are symbols of transformation too. I was like, all right. They turn it more into like a soap opera drama rather than a funny family comedy. They're like either trying to reboot old family sitcoms because they don't have anything else, y'all. That's it. Every script that has ever been written, there's nothing new. There's no new material. All they're doing is recycling. And when you don't claim ownership over your own stories, you're not trademarking, you're not copyrighting anything. In the astrals or the dream realm, especially for people in power, they'll try to pull it off before you. But something interesting I've been seeing is that more people are now calling it out. If they see somebody copying them, they're now telling their story. I saw the woman online, I followed her. She was talking about, she created Cloudland and how Lisa Frank copied Cloudland because she was friends, I guess, with an apartment builder who lived directly across from her, and she was kicked out of her apartment. She was put out. I'm like, they be watching y'all all the time. This is why it's important to believe in the power of your dreams. Doesn't matter if you have the capital, back it up. Doesn't matter if you have the brand deal or not. Believe in the power of your dreams because that is alchemy. That's how you take it back. You start claiming your story. You start saying what's going on. And a lot of people may deny you. They may act like you don't know what you're talking about. I've seen people say, oh, so-and-so stole my work. And like, prove it. Yeah, right. They got more followers than you. You don't know what's going on in the astral world at all. Even funny when I think about Astro World and Travis Scott, you know how he has like the big mummy head out there? I'm like, y'all, they're literally showing you everything. Everything that has happened in our history is just moving and updating. It's like the iOS system. You know how they have to update it every few days when it experiences bugs or glitches? So when people start coming to an awareness, that causes a bug or a glitch because it is diverting from the source code programming that was written. Thank you. But I think I've yapped enough for today. This was cool. I know that this is entertaining, but I also don't want people to get drained and be online all day long. And I post codes throughout the day too. But just a reminder, flash sales going on. Also, my class on Sunday, you can sign up today. We are talking about data and building your afterlife. We're going to be talking about what that actually looks like. We're going to be talking about the show Westworld, how data is collected, how algorithms work, and how you can start claiming this back for yourself. Not for instant gratification. If you're looking for something to solve your problems tomorrow, this is not what this is about. This is about collectively building legacy over time, but you have to understand the framework on what it was built. Like people who say they want to be millionaires, but you have no idea how money actually works. You think it's just about saving, $100 in your bank account for 20 years. That's not how it works. That's not how interest works. That's not how ownership or sovereignty works. So we're going to be talking about that, but in the form of metaphysics, in the form of the digital world. So you can sign up for the class. There's general and VIP access on my website. Exactly. Freeze all motor functions. R.I.P. Bernard. Jeffrey, whatever his last name is, did a phenomenal job playing Bernard, by the way. Not free. Oh, you thought I was on Westworld? You're funny. Even if I was a host, I don't think reading a TikTok that says freeze all motor functions would do it. It would have to be someone who has a little bit more power and control than that. No offense. Not Olympia Black, y'all. So we just gonna start quoting every robot clone movie we've seen. They already did the they clone Tyrone thing with in New Orleans last year with that Popeyes chicken clap and the Don Julio. I'm like, this is how you know the system is broken. When you start seeing stuff like that, it's not real at all. Hold on, guys. 1 second. 1 second. Let me pause for just a so yes, to stay in tune with yourself, stay in tune with what's happening in the universe. Don't get consumed or devoured by it because you are it. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for today. I'm going to post this to YouTube so you guys can check it out, and we'll talk again soon.